All right, folks, it's a Thursday morning update. I'm only part of the way through my first cup of coffee, but we got to bring it to you. We're going to be talking about 50 trillion plus in debt for the United States of America. We're going to be talking about David Schwartz and Neil Hartner from Ripple throwing a couple little jabby jabs at Consensus, Ethereum, the SEC, and calling out the shenanigans, to put it politely. And then I want to give you an update on an XRP Ripple partnership that really kind of highlights why when we see some of these partnerships, we might get a brief spike on the announcement, but we don't get sustained price action right away because these partnerships take time to develop. I'm going to get into that later in this episode, but I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible. I hope everybody's had a fantastic week so far. There was some economic data that's going to be coming out here today, but I'll be dropping that in a separate update. Let's get right on into it, folks. This is from Gold Telegraph. The Congressional Budget Office is warning that the United States debt is on pace to top 56 trillion over the next 10 years. And what you have to remember about this, guys, is that this is just the national debt. This is not our unfunded liabilities. Social Security, Medicare, and if we forgive this debt and that debt, and everybody gets a check and everybody gets to make love and have fun, and it's just going to be rainbows and sunshine forever as we top 50 trillion in national debt. And once again, this is on pace over the next 10 years. We're not far away. I know a decade, it seems like a long time until I'm going to be turning 30 this year. And so, I'm going to have completed my 3 decades here. And in another 10 years, to think that we're going to nearly have doubled this national debt. What are we going to have done to our unfunded liabilities? And who's going to be paying, right, for all of this when we already know that retirement accounts are set to, or Social Security, I should say, is set to run out basically in the next 10 years as well. And the reason why this is such a problem, right? Because, well, we can just print more money, right? Just like Secretary, Janet Yellen says, we can just print more money. Not a big deal. The problem is that countries around the world are ditching our dollar because of this situation. And this one's from Luke Groman, highlighting just that point. This is a Goldman report on foreign U.S. Treasury demand. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Total U.S. federal debt from 1990 until present is in blue, and that's the one that's going to the moon. Total foreign holdings of U.S. Treasuries in green. That's stagnant, still climbing, but, has really not shot up or kept up with the total U.S. federal debt. And then we get foreign official central bank holdings of U.S. Treasuries in red. And he says, mind the gap. Let's take a look at this chart zoomed out. And as you can see, we're a long ways away here with that U.S. federal debt climbing all the way up here over 32, 34 trillion, I believe is the new number that we just hit. As I showed you in the last slide, 56 trillion in the next decade. All right. Where are we at with treasuries? Well, they have continued to grow, right? But not at the pace that they once did. And as we see during these periods of recession, actually, after that, a lot of people did come back into the US dollar. So this is the only reason why these numbers are as high as they are, is that because we have been going through basically the early beginning stages of a global recession. Many of these countries are already going through a debt, currency, and liquidity crisis sooner than the United States of America. Now, I wanted to highlight on this too. This is just crazy. I've seen a couple people post this on X. I know how to pronounce this guy's name, but this is another guy that's trying to pin this anti-tether campaign on right-wing libertarian world, which is really interesting. Now, this is just absolutely absurd. One, Eleanor Terrett, she's very, very conservative in her reporting, right? And she's just reporting on this. So, once again, huge shout out to Eleanor Terrett. But second, I've already shown you guys how Letitia James, however you say her name, the New York Attorney General, the one who went after Trump. Yeah, that is the Letitia James, New York Attorney General, that called Tether a fraudulent and deceptive scheme, said that they didn't have reserves to back up their liabilities, and basically fined them and made them shut down in New York. This is the same AG that went after Trump, right? This is not a left-right issue. And it's just absurd to me that some people want to bring it down to that level. Everything now has to be left, right, this, that. How about everybody should be in favor of calling out corruption, and everybody should want a level playing field. It's very simple. Just give us life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness on a level playing field. That's all we demand. That's all we ask. Now, we look at Bitcoin. Who's been selling? Despite the narratives that they're trying to feed us, right, about what's going to take Bitcoin to 200,000 this cycle, I think that we're going to finish a far ways away from 200,000 this cycle. I don't think that Bitcoin's necessarily, done with the bull run. I think we still have a long ways to go. And I do expect Bitcoin to go over 100,000. But as I've been saying, you have a lot of people that are at profits right now, including the Bitcoin whales. This is from Tyler D on X. He says, now we know who's been selling the ancient BTC whales to the tune of billions. On-chain data shows that long-term BTC whales have sold a whopping 1.2 billion of Bitcoin over the past 2 weeks. Literally an unprecedented amount of selling, according to CryptoQuant. And so when we went up and the ETFs got approved, Bitcoin was at 49,000 the day they got approved. And then it went back down to 38,000. Huge correction after the ETFs got approved. And I said, okay, we got institutions that are going to be picking up on these ETFs all the way from 49,000 all the way down to 38. Well, then we run up to 74,000, guys. They've doubled up. This is Wall Street. Doubling up in a span of a couple months, they take their money and run. And that's exactly what they're doing. And so you have sell pressure from the ETFs. We saw how we had all these inflows, right? And then we started to have outflows. And net, we still are having inflows, but not at the pace we once were. And what we're seeing on chain here is that we have ancient whales that are pulling up and dumping bags that they got way long ago, right? And so this is why I didn't think that we were going to stretch much past that all-time high that we just did up to 74,000. There wasn't wasn't much legs left on that run. And so the pullback was anticipated, and we've kind of just chopped sideways from here, building relatively good structure. I just worry about broader macro turbulence on the economic stage that can bring down Bitcoin in the broader cryptocurrency market further. But, once again, Bitcoin is remaining resilient. The ETF exposures have been completely bullish for this space, but it doesn't mean that there's not somebody who's looking to dump on you. And so we have to just remember that when we watch these markets move. Eleanor Terrett, once again, huge shout out to doing the hard work and reaching out to Consensus founder Ethereum Joseph. That would be Joseph. I got a note in my pocket, Lubin. And his comment in response to this and whether or not they're going to keep the lawsuit going is, quote, the SEC's decision to close its 14-month investigation into Ethereum is a welcome development. It's necessary but not sufficient. There has to be a better way to regulate the market than through ambush. We are hopeful that the antagonism to crypto among some U.S. regulators is starting to wane and that the national investor protection strategy will evolve from the current guerrilla tactics. Until then, we soldier forth with our litigation against the SEC in Texas because we are intent on achieving more legal clarity for all. Now, I didn't expect them to actually continue the fight because I didn't really think that they were actually going to, do this dance. I thought they were going to do the nice dance with the SEC, and this was kind of show them that you're investigating us and then close it up, right? But they are going to continue to fight, and it's funny because Neil Hartner and David Schwartz just called them out for the same thing. And this is, I want to make a very important point. This is kind of my feeling and my sentiment ever since this came out. The whole space is trying to say that this is great for the space, that this gives everybody clarity. No, it does not. This doesn't even give Ethereum clarity. The letter is just, basically acknowledging that the current investigation has stopped. Doesn't give any sort of clarity. This is no legal precedent, and especially not for the rest of the space. You're not Ethereum. You're not Joseph. I got a note in my pocket, Lubin. Why do you think that your poop coin has clarity based off this? And the ridiculousness, I was listening to Martin Shkreli, who apparently launched this DJT Donald Trump token. He was trying to say and cite the Ripple case as giving clarity to all memes. I mean, I'm listening to the space with 10,000 people on Mario Nafal, and Martin Shkreli, he's just so obnoxious. And he's trying to cite the Ripple case as giving clarity to all memes. I'm like, dude, you clearly didn't pay attention to the case to have no idea what you're talking about. This case does not give clarity to the rest of the space. This gives clarity to the way XRP was brought about without an ICO, the way it was sold, but the way it was sold to institutional investors was deemed to be an investment contract. So we got the clarity that the token in and of itself was not a security, but all these ICOs, all these meme coins that are doing pre-launch and launch pad, all that crap is all investment contracts. I mean, it's just securities laws that have been on the books for decades. I know the crypto bros don't want to hear that. I know everybody wants to celebrate. Oh, now we all got clarity. Oh, yay. SEC's giving up their lawsuit against Consensus. They're giving up their lawsuit against Consensus, and they're going to come. I don't want to be too graphic with my words, but they're going to, metaphorically speaking, they're going to come get you guys, you crypto bros that think you got clarity. You're so mistaken. And Stuart already adds, kind of the same sentiment that I have. A big win for Consensus, though questions remain. Does this mean the SEC thinks Consensus offers and sales of ETH are not securities transactions and or that ETH itself is not a security? What will Gensler say if now asked? What is the status of MetaMask and staking? This is no way for a government to regulate, which is absolutely true. Absolutely true. Now, Neil Hartner says the plan, and he's, pretending to be Consensus in the SEC, right? The plan is you're going to say you're investigating us and then shortly later send us a letter that you close the investigation so we can make it public and advertise it on social media, which is what this whole show really looks like to me. And then David Schwartz chimes in. Remember when China used to alternately ban and unban Bitcoin just to manipulate the market for their oligarchs? Yes, we do, David. I was highlighting that at the time that, over 60% of the Bitcoin mining was coming out of China. It was absolutely controlled by China. And that was a concern for me. Nobody wanted to talk about it. And once again, we look at the level of corruption in our capital markets. It's absolutely sickening. Just hate to see it. We'll be updating you guys further on this deal, but I think the industry as a whole is mistakenly taking, and I said the same thing when the Ripple XRP ruling came out, is that this is not clarity for the rest of the space. It really isn't, because the facts and circumstances around XRP are completely different than most of cryptos. They didn't do an ICO. It is actually decentralized at the protocol level, versus Bitcoin versus Ethereum. You cannot say the same things, right? And so is Ethereum ever going to get in trouble? Consensus, Joseph Lubin? Probably not. But what I think is the problem here is that the rest of the space is still, if they're just naive or they're too dumb to understand how the law works, they're mistakenly thinking that these rulings apply to them. Oh, my meme coin's in the clear. Oh, my poop coin's in the clear now. Oh, Ripple versus SEC. Completely different set of facts and circumstances compared to your poop coin. But nice try. Nice try, crypto bro. Crypto bros don't like it when I say this. And, most people don't do any sort of legal due diligence on these projects when they go to invest. They just say, oh, it's a dog. Let's buy. Let's pump. Let's have fun. Yay, man. Hey, man, did you hear about this dog coin? And speaking of some real utility, okay, I wanted to update you guys on this XRP partnership, the Ripple partnership with Exchange, however you pronounce this, from Anders. Says, great to finally hear from Exchange, who announced in December 2021 that they would issue carbon credits on the XRP ledger. Exchange is partnered with the United Nations and is a sustainably run securities exchange. Last year, they issued 5 million of green bonds on the XRP ledger. That just shows the amount of time these partnerships take to materialize in something concrete. But it's great to finally see the ball rolling. And so this was a partnership that was originally announced in 2021. And like most of crypto, when these partnerships come out, these announcements come out, that's what actually makes the token pump temporarily, and then it'll correct back, right? But most of the time it's the news, it's the perception. Perception is reality. And so when somebody hears, oh, look at this partnership, look at this, that's what actually pumps the token, even though they hadn't even begun to tokenize carbon credits on the XRPL till last year. Now, last year, they issued 5 million worth of green bonds with 272,000 forward carbon credits generated through minting on the XRP ledger. So once again, these partnerships take time. Just because somebody says, oh yeah, we're going to use the XRP ledger, doesn't mean that they're bringing 5 trillion of liquidity to it tomorrow, right? We have to remain patient. People want to ask, all these partnerships, why isn't price moving? Because it takes time for the liquidity to come in. And, like I said in one of my most recent updates, even if you tokenize a gazillion dollars on chain, if it's not moving, it's not going to have a huge impact on price. We want a lot of assets getting tokenized on chain so that we can build up and start to move that liquidity in the volume through the ledger. That's what's going to move price. Every transaction's burning XRP, and people need XRP for the pairing with, in this case, the carbon credits or whatever else is going to be tokenized on chain, real estate, precious metals. The main incentive to tokenize these assets and bring them on chain is not just to say that, oh yeah, we tokenized gold on, I'm really cool, we tokenized gold on chain. That's not what it's for. I mean, a lot of people are going to do that, but the main thing, the incentive is to speed up liquidity, to speed up access to these products. Access and liquidity, these are the real things, along with tracking. Obviously, blockchain provides another level of transparency and tracking as well. But just to reiterate, all these partnerships, XRP price never moves because these partnerships take time to build. The liquidity takes time to build. When our AMM went live, as we warned, we weren't going to go to the moon as soon as AMM went live. Sure enough, here we are. It hasn't had much impact because we still only have, 12 million XRP on the AMM so far? This takes time to build, and nobody wants to be patient. They want to buy a dog, and they want to pump it up tomorrow. In the meantime, it's a beautiful place to be over here with legal clarity over here in the XRP community, while the rest of the space running around, looking silly, trying to figure out whether this consensus letter gives us clarity. That's just the most ridiculous thing to say. Martin Shkreli saying that the Ripple case gives clarity for all of meme coins. That's absurd as well. But just another day in crypto. We're going to keep chugging along, and the adults in the room are going to keep building. We're going to keep stacking the assets that matter. And if you guys are looking to get precious metals, cryptocurrency, I got my affiliates and community resources available for you guys. It's a way to support the show. I greatly appreciate all your support on the way out. Another way that we can do that is by tapping that like for me. Greatly appreciate your support. I got more content dropping later today. So make sure you guys subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I will see you in the next one. God bless. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.